everybody, and welcome to my new YouTube series that is not about me. If you haven't seen me before, then hi, my name is Emily and I'm an actor-singer based in the UK, and I spend my time either performing in shows or talking about them. If you love all things theatre and musicals as much as I do, then click subscribe to join my stagey little online family. Also, while you're there, click thumbs up if you would like to see more videos like this one on my channel. If you're a real theatre fan, then comment down below with your favourite line from a show. So welcome to my new series where I will be chatting to the stars and creators of Broadway and West End theatre, the award winners and the fan favourites. Today I will be chatting to the award-winning West End director Andrew Keates. Andrew trained at the Beacon College for Performing Arts, Mount View Academy of Theatre Arts and the Guildford School of Acting. His West End credits include the world premiere of Dark Sublime, William Hoffman's As Is, Desirose starring Cynthia Erivo, Jacques Brel is alive and well and living in Paris, and Passing By. But that is not all. Mr. Keates' professional portfolio also includes Tinglish at the Park Theatre, Howard Goodall and Richard Curtis's Girlfriends, the world premiere of the British new musical The White Feather, the professional world premiere of A Winter's Tale, the award-winning production of The Hired Man, and Martin Sherman's Bent, to name but a few. I could go on and on and on. Mr. Andrew Keates' professional CV is impressive and vast, to say the least. And speaking of impressive, Andrew himself has won a great number of awards. He has won awards for Best Director many times, including for Just So, Bent, As Is, and many more. Andrew was also awarded the Young Achiever of the Year award in 2018 by the Vice Chancellor of Surrey University for his outstanding contribution to theatre. His ethos for championing better diversity and representation within the arts and raising awareness to the stigma of HIV. Andrew co-ran the Landor Theatre in London for 3 years as casting director, producer and director before leaving to create his own company, Arian Productions Limited, where he is the artistic director. He also co-hosts the podcast Show People. Okay, that was a brief look into Mr. Andrew Keates' career so far, and by no means did we cover everything. But when you are as busy as Andrew, it is very difficult to cram his entire career into a short introduction. But now we have got to the part of the video that you came here for. Here's what happened when I talked to the man himself. How are you, Andrew?
I'm really good. I'm really good. I've been, I've just been sort of coping with lockdown 2 and how it's so similar to what we went through before, just minus the novelty. It sort of doesn't have the same energy that we all went into with it. We're sort of crawling into lockdown 2. Yeah. And whilst I was celebrating, albeit on my own, or me and my cat, with the election of Joe Biden as president, I'm still a little bit, my nerves are all over the place. I spent 4 days just watching CNN and my nerves being on edge and time difference messing up my body clock. So yeah, emotions all over the place. But I suppose what we're all doing is we're all going through a sort of low-level trauma in some respects, being
very
isolated.
True. Very true. And your companion throughout all this is obviously Toby, the star of your Instagram.
He is
also
the
star of much of your artwork. So how is your cat Toby?
How is Toby? Toby, I bought Toby a teepee a few months ago, like a little lovely teepee, and he's currently sleeping in that. He came out and had his dinner about an hour and a half ago, and then he's just gone back to his teepee for a little sleep. So and also, I'll be honest with you, I'm very fortunate in that I live on my own. I remember when I was at drama school and I would live with musical theatre performers, and as wonderful as they were, nothing in the world could convince me to do a house share anymore. There's only so much singing you can put up with on a daily basis. So I was very fortunate. I bought a flat, about nearly 2 years ago now. But living on your own, it's wonderful, but without the possibility of having friends round and getting out of it is very tricky. So you sort of turn into a sort of gilded cage, I think it's often referred to in God knows how many plays and films and things.
You briefly mentioned there that you went to drama school.
I did.
When did you realise that theatre was something that you were passionate about?
Probably from when I was reading plays. I was a young gay kid growing up in Bournemouth, and there wasn't anyone like me on television. Or if there was anyone that was like me on television, they were either for comic effect, or they were victims, or they were stereotypes. And so from being a very badly, I underwent a lot of bullying at school for being gay. And that was under Section 28, which was the non-promotion of homosexuality in schools. So I came out of 13 and lived on a council estate in Dorset. So it was very tough growing up. Being gay was wrong. And not only that, the government sanctioned that in schools that I couldn't be supported. So it was very difficult. And through my sort of love of theatre, I started to look for role models in the indexes of books. I started to look for, people like Oscar Wilde, Noel Coward, Tennessee Williams, Martin Sherman, William Hoffman, Larry Kramer, and started to read stories about people like me. And they could be heroes, and they could be in love, and they didn't have to be camp stereotypes. And that was when I realized that the theatre was a place for people like me.
That's amazing. I mean, it's great that we have those kind of role models in the arts. It's another reason why we need to #save our arts.
Oh God, it's amazing, because I think the thing with the arts is we will have to have a reason to seek it out. It's not something that everybody loves, and that's okay. I don't like football. That doesn't mean I don't value it, but I don't love it. And my need to go in the theatre was a need to understand myself. It was a need to understand the people around me, and it was just a curiosity about life. Being plunged into a room as a shared experience, watching actors sort of appeal to my empathy and make me think about and just make me think about the world at large, and I often think as well as people who go into this industry, I think we've all got one thing in common, which tends to be, or at least one thing in common, that is we've all had a reason to feel like our voices matter. We've had a reason to speak up. We've had an arrogance we've had an arrogance to go, listen to me. And often that listen to me energy comes from a place where we felt like we weren't being listened to. So that's very interesting. I remember we went into the first lockdown, particularly actors especially. They all went a bit mad. They went through a period of time where everything was broadcast on Facebook and social media. And it was this strange thing of everyone going, please don't forget to look at me. Please don't forget to look at me. Yeah. And we all climatized actually to getting to a place where instead we just started to say, okay, I can just be again, which is very interesting. I find that really, really interesting. And I think actually this lockdown and the last one and this period has been an extraordinary time to reflect upon what matters.
Absolutely.
And really reconnect with ourselves and analyze our lives before lockdown to where we are. I've certainly gone through that and made some really, really life-changing realizations and decisions.
Wow. So it's been like therapy for you.
Yeah, a lonely therapy, a therapy where you've only got yourself as a therapist, and in my experience, that can be really bad.
It can be.
You know what I mean? Because you haven't got anybody to inspire the questions. You've just got questions and you're self-answering. But I've got good friends around me, and they've been there, and they've been there, and I'm never ashamed to sometimes go, I'm having a tough one today.
So Andrew,
Yes.
Obviously, I know that you have many, many awards for what you do, and I am going to get into that. But I want to know, what was your first professional job like, and how did you feel going into that?
Oh, I can't believe you asked me that question. Well, technically, my first professional job was I played the Mad Hatter at the Alice in Wonderland family theme park, which was a theme park which was opposite Herne Airport in Dorset. It was as dreadful as it sounds. I had to do, I don't know, about 5 kids shows a day. And the problem with that kind of environment is, I mean, it was sort of it was opposite an airport for one. In fact, there was one day a plane crashed in the side of the park. I mean, I've got stories about that place. I could write a sitcom. And funny enough, I was there with somebody who's still a really good mate, Nick Hayes, who is a musical theatre performer. He's done a lot. Nick was my Mr. Rabbit. He used to have to wear like a 6-foot white rabbit costume, and I was the Mad Hatter. The problem you have with a kids audience is you've got parents there. So after a while, the scripts would slip a little bit. So I would find myself going, now boys, Mr. Rabbit's run away. What are we all going to say? Myxomatosis, and you end up just being a horrible, horrible kids performer. It's like something out of the League of Gentlemen. Amazingly, and this is true, amazingly, I ended that job after me and another Mad Hatter. There was 2 of us, one who was double my height and about 3 times my age, at a staff party, ended up having a fight in the car park, and he hospitalized me. So yeah, amazing. And I was amazed the local press didn't pick up on it. Mad Hatter puts Mad Hatter 2 in hospital. Right. But that is just part of a story of my strange and bizarre life.
Well, since then, you have actually gone on to do some quite prestigious stuff. If I just have a little read of just 1 or 2, because there's no way I could have memorized these, because you have won so many awards. So here's my little list. Go on. So, Best Director for Bent, Just So, The Hired Man, Rooms, A Rock Romance, and Desirose. You also got awards for Best Production, Best New Production, Best Musical Production, and so many more. But what has been the proudest moment that you've had in your career so far?
The awards are really lovely. I've got a nice little bookcase of the various awards that I've won or been nominated for. Proudest moment. That's really tricky, because it's a recurring proud moment that happens as a director, which is, and that's true of all of those productions and any other one you can mention. It is the moment that I see my cast being wonderful, and when they are at their peak, when they're listening and they know what they're doing, and I can just sit at the back row and watch them. And sure, there's always nearly normally a note or 2 when is there not, but it's when I'm enjoying the play that I facilitated. That is my proudest moment, and there's plenty of actors know that, whether that's Cassidy Jansen or Marina Sirtis or any of them, the amount of actors and actresses who, Stevie Webb is another good example, where they know just by the way I look at them how proud I am. And it's been said to me, or there are times when I've gone up to an actor and tried to speak and not had the words, and they've said thank you. And that's the thing, really, isn't it? I mean, a few film directors, friends of mine, have asked, would I play a part in their films? Which to many actors, that is an absolute dream, but it just feels so horribly wrong. I don't really miss acting very much. My love is being that facilitator, and helping my actors not be better in a play, but helping them be better actors. Because I found that a lot of actors, they go through whatever amateur dramatics or whatever experiences they have as young people, then they either go into drama school or straight into the business. And there's seldom a period where somebody's really helped them to teach them how to act. They just tend to, well, I'm sort of feeling something and I'm sort of saying something. And I've been really fortunate with my experience and the mentors I've had and the things I've learned to really help unblock a lot of the blockages that actors have. Because a lot of actors are too frightened to say, I don't really know how to do this. Because we're constantly, used to putting our best foot forward. And I'm much more interested in creating a messy rehearsal room where people can fail left, right, and centre, as long as they learn something from it after.
So this sort of leads me on, in a way, then, to my next question, because you've been a driving force behind quite a lot of new writing.
Yeah.
Is this the same sort of feeling for you of nurturing something from the ground up?
I guess it's about legacy. I mean, because look, there's a lot of plays that I still have on my bookshelf to this day from when I was a little boy. But, you know, it took somebody to take a risk to believe in that playwright to you know, to be associated with that. You know, I want my legacy. I love new work. That doesn't mean to say I don't love revivals. I do, as long as the revival is right for the time. But it's important to me that I leave my mark on this industry and this world. I want to make new work, and it is extraordinary working with new playwrights and new composers, and collaborating with them, and seeing their work realized, and arguing with them sometimes going, no, this is a better choice, and having that tete-a-tete, and then, you know, either me saying to them afterwards, no, you're so right, it was wrong, or them grabbing me and saying, oh, I'm so glad you convinced me to do that, because we've made something new. You know, I've often said, I love Stephen Sondheim. In fact, on this, don't know if this is audio and video or not, there's a picture of Stephen Sondheim right behind me. With Sondheim, I've always wanted to do Sweeney Todd, but I have a big problem with Sweeney Todd in that I'd probably just do it exactly the same way Hal Prince did. Because why would I mess with it?
Yeah.
What else can I do with Sweeney Todd that's better? I don't really think moving it into a different time period makes it any better. If anything, I think it distracts from the story. But when it's new, it's totally up to me to have the first idea. And then in a few years' time, somebody can invite me, and then I can realize there was a much better way of doing it. And why didn't I think of it? Or I can see a carbon copy of my production anyway, and that's bizarre.
Has it happened to you?
It has happened to me. I won't say for what it was, but there was one particular play. I was also sent a recording of somebody's piece, and the set was identical to my other one. And me and my designer were quite upset.
I bet you were. Wow. So do you have a dream play or musical that's already been written that you want to bring back and put Andrew Keates' stamp on?
Yeah, there is. I won't say what they are, I'm afraid, only because I'm trying to do them.
Okay, well that's great.
It's sort of weird for us as directors, because, you know, the way it works is I find a piece that I'm passionate about, and then I go and pitch it to my producer friends. That's really how work gets made. It's very rare that a phone call will go off, certainly for me. I'm not saying this is the case for everybody. It's very rare that I get a phone call from a producer going, is Andrew free for a play that I haven't been attached to?
Yeah.
And I think it's important actors realize that tends to be the way that it works. Or if I am asked to do something, it'll be, you know, for a drama school, and you know, it's somebody that just wants somebody with me in this CV without necessarily thinking, oh, is he the right director? It's just they want me to have contact time with their students.
You have a very well-deserved reputation for championing diversity in your casts.
Yeah.
How important is it to see better representation in the arts for you?
It's very important to me because, and this is where we've got to be very tricky. I'm very conscious. I'm white, Jewish heritage, gay, HIV positive man. Now, those are all my boxes.
Mm-hmm.
That does not mean, however, that I don't have empathy with other minority groups. So yes, it is important to me that people who are non-white are in my productions, because I understand what it feels like for them when I was growing up, not seeing authentic representations of other gay men, or later life, seeing the way that HIV and AIDS is portrayed nowadays, and the stigma that surrounds it. So that's where the driving force comes from. The driving force comes from, I understand this, I get this, it's rubbish that particularly still Southeast and East Asian performers have to watch, you know, white people doing cultural appropriation. I just think it's revolting. Yeah. The anger that I felt the most was, I was doing auditions for a play called Chinglish by David Henry Wong, which I did the European premiere of at the Park Theatre. And, you know, I think I'd seen 50 people that day in auditions. And I came home and I turned on Facebook, and lo and behold, I saw that it was In the Depths of Dead Love by Howard Barker. And they had decided to do this play set in ancient China with an entirely Caucasian cast, and the rage I felt, you know, and I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good at when it comes to when I'm angry about something. I don't get angry in my correspondence. I begin by saying, "I'd just like to bring this to your attention."
Yeah.
And I always give somebody the opportunity to think about the point that I'm raising. Because that's my job as a director. My job as a director is not often to provide answers. It's to ask questions to help somebody go from A to B without me going, do that.
Yeah.
And, you know, as a director's job, it is to make you think, make audiences think, make actors think, designers think, whatever. There are kids and there are young people and there are young actors who are simply not becoming actors because they look at our stages and they look at their screens and they don't see themselves and they say to themselves, there is no place for me. And in the same way with Kamala Harris, you know, the speech that she's just made as vice president elect, you know, her thanking all the women who fought for her before so she could be there. I honestly believe that Kamala Harris's impact on the American political spectrum, sorry, the American political world, sorry, will inspire generations of young people, young Black people, young Asian people, to say, oh, I could be president. And that's got to be a good thing, right? That's got to be a good thing.
Of course, it can only be good. I'm going to talk to you about your art now.
Yeah, my new thing.
Show.
I'm now an artist. Yeah.
You are now an artist. So, other than obviously Toby being a massive inspiration there, is this a lockdown development, or have you always had this in you?
No, I didn't. Well, no, that's not strictly true. I've always been very good with graphic design. That's always something, and that comes from, I used to run a theatre called the Landor Theatre. I ran it for 3 years, and we had no money, and it was just me and an amazing man called Robert McQuirr. And I would often design posters and had to fumble my way through Photoshop for various things. So that was where it sort of started. And before lockdown, I'm always having meetings. Well, then I was always having meetings all over Soho. And I've got a lovely MacBook Pro, and it's just heavy. This is a really, really heavy thing. So I bought myself an iPad Pro when, you know, I had shows coming up and money coming in and everything was wonderful. Then lockdown happened and Corona hit. One day I just sat down with my iPad and I just started to draw. And because it was technology based, it really helped me realize some of the ideas I had in my head. And so I started drawing them, and then friends started saying, can I buy it? Now, as somebody who had no money coming in, I was like, yeah. So I had some made. I got it printed at the same company I get all my show posters and programs done at. So yeah, so I found myself really enjoying being creative again. You know, having an idea, putting it into. If you can hear something in the background, by the way, that is Toby Page. That's Toby Page, who's just come out to have a little midnight feast. We'll probably come over in a minute. So I use my iPad, I use my my MacBook, and I just started, you know, going, okay, well, I absolutely can create something, and I can market it like a show, and I can bring in some money. Come on, you wanna come and say hello? Come and say hello to Emily. This is the monster himself, who's just had his dinner.
Hi, Toby.
Hey, Toby. Yeah. This is Toby Page, the ultimate theatre cat. So yeah, I've really, really enjoyed it. And then from there, I had one friend of mine, Dom Jolly, who used to be in Trigger Happy TV.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
He's a really good mate of mine. We spend a lot of time together. And he really cheekily messaged me and he said, if I give you an idea, can you do it for me? I was like, yeah, sure, okay. And then we realized we were onto a bit of a good thing. So we started collaborating on, basically he gives me the idea, I realize it, and then we split the money, and you know, it helps us pay our mortgages and feed Toby Page. He eats better than me, I have to point out. And there's been a couple of people who've reached out to me for commissions, as I really enjoy doing in a really mosaic style. So I often take quite iconic moments in film and television and theatre and whatever, and I do it in a sort of mosaic style. I find it really fascinating the way that shapes build objects, and the colors that we find when we extend that shape with a color rather than it just being a tiny highlight, and you get these really beautiful images. So yeah, I'm absolutely loving it. I've been selling these pieces of art all over the world, and it's just nice to make them really affordable, because every time I sell one, you know, it's a bag of shopping from Sainsbury's.
Amazing. So I'm guessing that with the next couple of weeks, we're going to see more creations coming our way.
You certainly are. You certainly are. Funny enough, I was messaging Dom Jolly today, who has been. We've had the idea of doing really brutally honest Christmas cards.
Oh, please do. Please do. One last question. You've been so fantastic. Thank you, Andrew.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Ask me anything you want.
Obviously, the arts have taken quite the hit this year. So I was just going to give you the opportunity just to give a message to theatre fans and your colleagues and things, just a little message from you to them during this time.
It's really okay to not do anything. I think I'll say this. I've found there are some people out there who are to be commended for trying to make theatre work. Mm-hmm. But I think it's worrying because it gives an impression in the way that social media does that therefore there's theatre happening and I'm not a part of it. Yeah. And I struggled with that a bit because there were producer friends. I was like, why have I not been asked? Mm-hmm. And one of my very, very best friends is involved in one particular show. And I put a tweet out. I said, I feel a little bit like the school park has opened again and I'm the kid that hasn't been asked to go and play. And the reality is barely anybody has. Yeah. And it's seeing that potential of work and that crippling thing that we all have, or we just want to work, we just want to do our craft. And most of us aren't a part of it. And so what is starting to happen, which I worry about as somebody who's produced for a long time, it's not worth the risk, in my opinion. I want to say, save the arts, yes, save the arts. That's down to the government. But even if I was given, 200 grand to produce a show, I'd probably advise somebody no. It's not worth the financial risk. It's not worth the effort of all that hard work that it can just be ripped away from us. Yeah. I think this time is more about it's more about reflection. Mm-hmm. And it's about looking after us. It's absolutely about solidifying our relationships with the people we love, not the people who will just give us work. And I think it's okay to say, look, theatre has been cancelled. Mm-hmm. It's gone at the moment. There's nothing we can do about it. So where does my power lie? Does my power lie in my acting could be better? I know. I'll book a Zoom acting class with Andrew Keates. He's somebody listening now. I'll book an acting class with Andrew. Okay, well, you can work on some acting craft there. Or I'll book an online dance tutorial with Robbie McMillan, for example. He's all over Instagram. Beautiful, beautiful boy. Dancing beautifully, doing these great Zoom classes. Do that. But please, please, please. Like, I don't think anybody should be investing money in making shows until it's safe to do so. Yeah. And secondly, when audiences can feel safe.
So, Andrew, from your Twitter, I understand that you've been having some conversations with Spotlight. Would you like to fill us in on what's been going on there?
I really hope it's going to be a happy ending because members of Spotlight received an annual fee request on the day that lockdown was announced. And from speaking to friends who are actors, they couldn't pay it. And I started talking to more and more people and noticing a lot of aggression towards Spotlight on that particular day about this. It just seemed really unkind and unfeeling. So I have written to Spotlight and I've requested, firstly, that they reconsider doing another payment holiday, because a lot of people, the way that it's told to me is a lot of actors felt that Spotlight didn't communicate that very efficiently. And a lot of people assumed that it was automatically going to happen. They didn't really have to opt in. And also the window of payment to do that was so narrow, a lot of people were too late. Yeah. So it sort of felt like Spotlight did it to appear to do it, but with really, really tight circumstances, no one took advantage of it. So I have written to them and asked them to consider the financial situation that actors are in at the moment. I've suggested doing a temporary free profile throughout the times that theatres are closed. So one headshot, all your credits, so at least agents and those without representation can still submit themselves to work. Because of course, how do they pay their fees if they can't be submitted for work? If they've got no work, it's a vicious circle, and anybody can see that. I've also suggested that for UK members, until theatres open, all fees are suspended, and that membership fees be optional. So those who can afford their Spotlight membership can choose to pay it. Those that can't, don't. But really just trying to find some helpful solutions for actors, because, you know, for an actor, no actor wants to make a bad name for themselves. No actor really wants to kick up a fuss. And, you know, someone like me who is not a member of Spotlight, because I don't need to be, it's very easy for me to listen to concerns and voice a silent or an unpopular opinion with that organisation. So no one's reputation gets damaged. I certainly don't care what Spotlight thinks of me, but I do care about whether they're listening to their members and they're providing a service that that essentially has a monopoly. You know, they have a monopoly on casting, and with a monopoly comes a responsibility. And with all of the members that they have, I think to be knocking on the door, even for a direct debit at the moment, is inappropriate. And so I've sent a long letter of correspondence. I'm sure you can find it on my Twitter if people are interested. And I hadn't had a response. I got a response from late on Friday saying, Andrew, just so you know, it will be responded to in full. And again, another Monday's gone by and there's still no answer. So I really hope, for Spotlight's sake, that they've listened to the solutions and the problems that I've laid out. And I really hope they're going to come back and really look after their members, because they've got an obligation, and they've been around since, what was it, 1927? Certainly before, you know, before the Second World War. They've been through catastrophes and made allowances in the past. I think it's time Spotlight shows some of the generosity of their monopoly and the vast amount of members and income they have.
Well, thank you so much, Andrew. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm going to let you go. Enjoy
you too, darling.
As I am sure you could tell, I had an absolute blast chatting with Andrew. I really hope that you enjoyed me shining my spotlight on Andrew Keates today. If you did, then please click the like button. And if you'd like to see more videos like this one, then click subscribe, because I have so many more videos already and coming soon on my channel. More incredible stars of the stage, award winners, directors and writers. You will not want to miss it. Take care, everyone. Bye! Hi, thank you so much for getting to this part of the video. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch. I'd love it if you could click subscribe so we can stay in touch, and a little like would be nice as well. So why don't you leave a comment, just say hi, or let me know any songs you like or anything you'd like to see me cover on this channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!